Luka Dončić fouls out of Game 3 of the NBA Finals with 4 minutes and 12 seconds to go. At that point, the score was 93-90. The Boston Celtics were leading the Dallas Mavericks, and Dallas was making that push. They were making that charge. But in an instant, it was actually Peyton Pritchard draws foul 4 from Luka, which that was brutal. Then you have his fifth foul was he sinks his arm underneath Jaylen Brown's. And what did you think of that fifth foul? Because I know people were split on it and based on the contact that was made, and they're like, you can't make that call in the finals.
The hook?
Where he hooked Brown underneath.
They both hooked each other.
Yeah.
I think that's a no call, and you look at them and you both watch them be idiots falling to the floor.
Yeah, but it was the fifth foul because I think there's this element of Luka looks out of control on defense. He looks uncomfortable on the defensive end of the floor.
Yeah, and I think also he tried to sell it, which made him look even worse. The dumbest foul in all of this was his fourth foul.
That's what I was saying. The Peyton Pritchard
one. That was the one that just was like, what are you doing, you dummy?
Yeah.
Why are you trying to run with the one thing Peyton Pritchard does other than shoot is run quick?
Yeah.
Why are you trying to keep up with him? We all know you're not going to. Stop it. What are you trying to prove here? The block charge probably shouldn't have been called either way. I don't think it was a foul either way. I think both guys. I think Luka was probably set, and I also think there wasn't enough contact for there to be a charge. I think Luka sold it, and Jaylen was a little out of control. So, again, if I'm reffing, I'm not calling either of those fouls, but you can't put yourself in that position.
Luka was begging for a push-off.
Yeah.
Which
you're not getting there.
That's rich because you're Luka Dončić, who forearm shivers guys through the lane and creates separation every time you're next to the basket.
I did appreciate him stiff arming Peyton Pritchard earlier in the game and sending him 8 yards. It was like, oh, they're not going to call anything. Peyton Pritchard looked like one of those, the GIF where they slide from out of the world into the galaxy, into like another universe kind of a deal where it's like, oh God, where did he go? And they didn't call anything. And then he did it again to Tatum. And then Tatum, as strong as he is, not in the same weight class as Luka. That's a real thing.
Well, in the complaining from Luka is
endless.
Back, and it is endless. And he's even having to acknowledge it.
Every time they draw it, you basically call a foul. So I try to be better. So got to get better.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, Luka complaining about calls isn't what dictated that game.
No, but it was stupid of him to put himself in the position that he does. Maybe this is the thing that he learns from, because he is still young enough.
But I don't think he will. I think this is just who he is, because remember, this was the conversation during the Denver series as well. And he said, I'm trying not to complain as much. Well, here we are. You took one series off of complaining.
Yeah, he was better about it.
Because things were going great for you. Now things start going not so great for you, and that's what you do. And this has kind of been who Luka is throughout his entire career, is when things aren't going his way, he really turns on the complaining, whining, and crying for everything.
Yes.
And look, some people may call that the competitive edge, but it's not playing well right now, because
you can't complain about everything. That's the thing, is like the best players, they're all whiners. They all are. Remember, Devin Booker used to be the worst.
No, it's always going to be James Harden, but Devin Booker was up
but he had to just shut up about it. It was like, oh my! I mean, he was doing it in summer workouts. Remember, Joakim Noah just punked him. Well, man, we're not doubling in workouts. Well, yeah, we are. Yeah, like Noah let him know right away. Like, oh yeah, no, we're gonna get this out of you. Like that was the thing. Is like even the other players were like, dude, you've gotten. Luka's young enough that he might learn from this, not just the whining, but putting himself in stupid positions, much like the Jays against the Warriors. The positions they put themselves in and not putting their head down and settling for stupid jump shots. You know, somebody's got to come along on that Mavs team and be a dude for them that could also kind of help kind of keep things in check, much like Drew Holiday has done for the Celtics. And maybe that's the learning process here for Dallas in this, and that I guess that's the one kind of thing you can draw from this. Because remember when Dirk went through in 2007 and got punked. Remember how much hell he got through that? And he had to learn how to deal with stuff.
Isn't inherently the issue with this Mavs team, though, is that who are you going to bring in that has that kind of command that can get through to Luka and Kyrie Irving? Isn't that supposed to be kind of that's what Jason Kidd was going to separate him and make him special, was he could be the guy that could get through to Luka Dončić and who could get through to Kyrie Irving. And
I mean, he has to an extent. He does have them in the NBA Finals.
Well, absolutely.
And that's what I'm saying. But it's another step, though. I think that they need that because, look, I like P.J. Washington. I think he's a good player. Derek Lively is a good young player. Daniel Gafford is a good player. You look at that team and you go, the thing that is now being highlighted that is missing is that calming presence. That
Drew Holiday?
Yeah. Well, I think Maxi Kleba...
Drew Holiday presence?
Well, I mean, I think Maxi Kleba could have been that kind of guy, but you can't be that guy and be injured. No. You got to be a guy that's on the floor. Can they find a Derek White even? Like that kind of guy? Can they find a super high-level role player that... And it doesn't have to be like this, like, when I say super high level role player, it doesn't necessarily mean like this super high, like, efficiency talent guy. It could be like a Mike Conley. Like a Mike Conley. The difference between the Minnesota Timberwolves with and without Mike Conley is the playoffs versus, like, out of the playoffs. Legitimately. As talented as they are.
Western Conference Finals or a play-in win.
Yes. And, like, that's where they're at because Mike Conley is such a stabilizing force. And I think the thing that the Mavs are missing now is a stabilizing force, and the Celtics are highlighting